Hey guys, Kate420 back at it with an update. This is a video I brought you guys a few months ago. Unfortunately, when I believe his third victim had OD'd, and they had finally arrested this man, and we're holding him accountable for not just the third victim, but the other two victims whose families had fought vigorously to try and prevent there from being any other victims. But because this was a millionaire Democratic donor who, as you can see right here, was a big fan of Hillary Clinton, and she was a fan of his money. Well, yeah, life has changed for Ed Buck. Here he is over here in the courtroom wearing, as most of us who have done a bid know, as the suicide dress, smock, slash blanket, slash the only thing that you have to cover you because you decided to say those magic words. Um, I can't help but laugh because get it out of my system. Get it out of my system. Let's take a look at, and we'll get into this a little bit more. First and foremost, let's just reiterate for those of you who didn't see my last video. Ed Buck, a Democratic donor, was accused of running a drug den after a third man OD'd in his house. This third man, however, did not die. This third man was able to get help, I believe. Let's double check. LA County prosecutors say they have charged Democratic donor and LGBTQ activist. Remember that line when we get to a certain part of all this. He's an LGBTQ activist. I guess they say it's better to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Anywho, Ed Buck running the drug house and other crimes after a man overdosed on meth at Buck's apartment last week. The man survived, but two other men have died from overdoses in Buck's apartment in the past 2 years. 3 ODs, 2 years, 2 dead, 1 almost dead. Buck was arrested Tuesday night after months in which activists and relatives of the men who have died have called for criminal charges related to the suspicious circumstances around the death of 20-year-old Gamel Moore in 2017 and 55-year-old Timothy Michael Dean in January. If convicted, he could face face a maximum of 5 years and 8 months in state prison. Makes me sick. And it'll make you sick too, because this man took advantage of some of the weakest members of our society. So anyway, listen, the most recent overdose took place on September 11th. Fancy that. Prosecutors say Buck injected a 37-year-old man with meth at his apartment on Laurel Avenue in West Hollywood. The man suffered an overdose but survived. Advocates for Moore and Dean have long accused Buck of being a sexual predator who lured gay and at-risk black men to his home in West Hollywood. As a member station, KCRW reported this summer, Buck is alleged to have pressured men to do drugs, particularly crystal meth, and he shoots it into them. When Gamel Moore died, police say they found drug paraphernalia littered around the scene in Buck's home, including syringes, pipes, plastic bags. The coroner blamed the death on an accidental overdose, but a homicide inquiry was launched after Gamel Moore's journal was published weeks later. We're going to take a peek at that. And Moore blamed Buck for introducing him to meth. I honestly don't know what to do. Quotes, guys, this is something that was in his diary. I honestly don't know what to do. I've become addicted to drugs, and the worst one at that, Moore wrote, according to his family's website. Ed Buck is the one to thank. That's pretty. This man was homeless, and he was a male prostitute. And what Buck would do is buy them for the night, but instead of just a sexual, he had fetishes, and his fetish was to dress them up in long underwear. I'm going to show you some pictures. A picture. They had to be very, very thin, emaciated, almost black men. They had to be able to take large amounts, injected large amounts of methamphetamine. And then he also took pictures and videotaped things. So, yeah. Prosecutors opted not to file charges against Buck related to Moore's death earlier this year. Letitia Nixon filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Buck in LA County. She says Dean's death could have been avoided if authorities had charged Buck in 2017. Amen to that. And that's why Timothy Dean's family has filed a lawsuit recently. For more than 2 years, activists have said Buck wasn't charged with a crime because he is white, wealthy, and politically connected. Now they are welcoming the news that he has been arrested. We are just completely ecstatic, writer and activist Jasmine Canick says via Twitter. Black gay men's lives matter. The whole Black LGBT community is going to be celebrating this evening because our lives matter. Canick, who has pointedly accused prosecutors in the LA County Sheriff's Department of failing to stop a violent predator, says she collected a trove of evidence against Buck, publishing interviews and materials online. The next step in her view is for him to face additional charges in the deaths of Moore and Dean. After Dean died earlier this year, Buck's attorney Seymour Amster insisted his client is innocent of any crimes. This is not a situation where Mr. Buck has caused the death. Yes, it is. He provided the meth. He injected the meth. He did not provide proper help for the person that he injected the meth to because he himself was also so high on the meth that he couldn't get the person help. But that's what he says. Anyhow, it says, I remain deeply concerned for the safety of people whose life circumstances may make them more vulnerable to criminal predators, says LA County District Attorney Jackie Lacey, and added that new evidence from the recent overdose of the 37-year-old man at Buck's apartment has prompted her to approve filing charges against Buck. Buck has donated thousands of dollars to Democratic candidates and organizations, and wait till the end because one of our new little presidential nominees, yeah, she's got some donations from Ed Buck. So, and that's after he already had 2 people die in his house. She took donations from him. So hold up. Center for Buck has donated. Yeah, it just says how much he's donated. Let's move on to Timothy Dean. I just told you about this. I'm not really going to read it too much into it, but his family did as of about a week ago. Yeah, 6-7 days ago. So, okay, 7. Timothy Dean, 55, became the second Black man found dead of a meth overdose in West Hollywood apartment of Ed Buck. Yesterday, a lawyer from Dean's family filed a civil wrongful death lawsuit against Buck, just as Dean's friends gathered for a remembrance vigil. He would give the shirt off his back, said friend Mark Chambers. He literally gave suits to homeless people. Yeah, Dean was actually an older man. He was 55. Compared to some of Buck's other victims, he was older. His fit was different. His build, you know what I mean? He wasn't the scrawny type of skinny, lanky Black man that normally Buck went for. It says, I just don't know him as a guy that would die that way that he did in this man's apartment. Timothy was such a funny, great man with such a sense of style. It goes on. It says that Buck is a sexual predator focusing on at-risk Black men administering fatal doses of meth. And that's the point. He's administering the meth. They are not shooting themselves up. He is shooting them up. They're whatever he is, however much he puts in there, however much he forces them to take, they're not in charge of how much they're taking. And they're just getting paid for that act rather than just the sexual act. The sexual violence has become very salient thanks to the issue of sexual violence has become very salient thanks to the hashtag Me Too movement. But one of the failures of the movement is that really only wealthy white women are trusted when they come forward. Had the victims in this case been white or wealthy, then we firmly believe that the claims would have been taken much more seriously. Buck is currently in jail waiting trial on state and federal charges in relation to the deaths of Dean and Moore, and he maintains his innocence. Yes, he did plead guilty to the federal drug charges. He also has these 2 wrongful death lawsuits, and they're saying that they're preparing more charges for him regarding Moore and Dean's death, and regarding the 37-year-old that OD'd in his home. Okay. This is where we started to get serious because you don't think this man just did this to these 3 men, right? Because a man this sick doesn't just do this to 3 men. A man this sick he may have not got caught for 8 to 15, 20 other men that, he overdosed that just didn't happen to die. So according to this USA Today article, it's at least 10. Okay? And I'm it's not like this is NewsGuard protected, as you see at the top in the green. Oh, I hate when my camera does this. Hold on a minute, guys. I'm just going to reset it and see what happens. It's not. Why is it doing that? Maybe it's because I'm on here. I don't know. But my camera's not available on this one. Who cares? As long as you can hear me, that's all that matters. Ed Buck, a Democratic donor. Okay, he's earned the nickname Dr. Kevorkian. He has had multiple victims he injected with methamphetamine, earning the nickname Dr. Kevorkian. Says he preyed on vulnerable younger Black men. Buck has faced federal charges of distribution of meth resulting in death, exploited at least 10 men, offering them drugs, sex, and money, prosecutors say. So they've got at least 10 men involved in this case now. Okay. Hang on. There we go. And then it says Gamel Moore, Timothy Dean, fatally overdosed inside Buck's West Hollywood apartment. Buck, I did it again. Hold on. Sorry. Buck who faces federal charges. Oh, you stink ass. Only when I'm trying to do a video that I don't want to have to edit. And I'm not going to. You guys love me and you're just going to hang on 2 seconds. It's not like, there we go. It says he was arrested for, I already told you that about running the drug den. Here it is. These 10 men, they got, you guys, it says exploited at least 10 men offering drugs, sex, and money. Gamel Moore, Timothy Dean, fatally overdosed. Buck faced no charges initially, but was arrested Tuesday and charged with multiple felonies in connection with this incident and nearly killed his 3rd victim. I believe the 3rd victim was crawling and asking for help, and when he called 911, he kept saying he wouldn't get me help. The guy literally said he knew that I was going to die and he was going to let me die. That's what's crazy. It says Buck is a serious threat to public safety who preyed on homeless and vulnerable men, says Nick Hanna, a violent, dangerous sexual predator. Remember that, because Buck has friends like Adam Schiff, who is the head of the Intelligence Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff, who's trying to run this impeachment inquiry against Trump. He actually has received numerous donations from Ed Buck. All right. There we go. Now let's see if my camera comes back. I'll never understand why it does this. And it does never make no sense to me. Never make no sense to me. And there we go. I just updated too, and I heard this new Windows 10 update might be full of bugs. I didn't know it until after I had my automatic update. So anyway, it says he gave me my first injection of crystal meth. Diary of a male prostitute who fatally OD'd at the home of prominent Democratic donor claims the friend of Hillary Clinton got him hooked on drugs. This is Daily Mail. Excuse me. I have no idea why my camera is not coming up anymore at all. Yeah, hold on. I don't understand why this is happening right now. Darn it. Anyhow, what I really want to say is it says, if it didn't hurt so bad, I'd kill myself, but I'll let Ed Buck do it for now. That was his final entry dated on December 3rd of 2016. These are diary entries from Gamel Moore that explained that Buck had him addicted to the pain fetish fantasy. So these are things that they're going to be using in court against him to show that, yes, although the guy was there of his own accord, it was because he came there under the auspices of sexual acts and then ended up becoming a drug / sexual act, and the drugs took over things. So I don't think there was anything else. Here's Gamel Moore. This is Ed Buck on the left. This was his first victim on the right. It says they spoke to a woman who knew more and who said that a prostitute told her about another man he knew who had tied Buck up over a year ago, been tied up by Buck, held him against his will at his residence in West Hollywood. The report also stated that Buck's apartment was full of drug paraphernalia, including dozens of syringes containing brown residue, 5 glass pipes, and white residue, several baggies of white powder, and a bag of crystal-like substances, which was such as crystal meth. Why didn't the police take it and test it? I don't understand that. Pages from Moore's personal journal, which is right here. We're going to get to it. I pray that I can just get my life together and make sense. I help so many people, but I can't seem to help myself. I honestly don't know what to do. I became addicted to drugs, and the worst one at that, Ed Buck, is the one to thank. He gave me my first injection of crystal meth. It was very painful, but after all the troubles, I became addicted to the pain and fetish fantasy. But slowly my brain, and then it cuts off there. Says my life is at an all-time high right now. I mean that from always. I ended up back at Buck's house again, got manipulated into slamming, which is injecting drugs again. I even went to a point where I was forced to doing 4 within a 2-day period. This man is crazy, and it's sad. Will I ever get help? His final entry dated December 3rd read, if it didn't hurt so bad, I'd kill myself, but I'll let Ed Buck do it for now. That's sad, guys. Like, to me, I feel like this man should be charged with at least second-degree murder, if not involuntary manslaughter. To me, that he played more than 50% of a part in these men's deaths. He paid them several hundred dollars to take drugs, and then they, have sexual at whatever type. There is actually a picture of the drug den, if I can get to it down here. I hate that Daily Mail takes so long to load. It's so ridiculous. Come on. And then I know something's not right because my camera hasn't worked in like 2 pages. So I thought maybe this picture should be of Buck and Governor Jerry Brown of California, but that's not. Maybe let me try that and see if that works. If I could get rid of this video, I'd be okay. Bingo. Nope. That's not what I wanted to do. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to load that back up again. That was just giving me trouble. This is Daily Mail, or you can go check it out. Here is the presidential candidate that I was telling you about that's running for Democratic in the Democratic primary and is actually quite a bit ahead of the pack. Well, I think she peaked. She's actually kind of falling back now behind Joe Biden, tied with Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren. The Warren campaign, as of December 19th, 2019, touts list of supporters, including what? Predator Ed Buck. See, the camera not available. What is going on? That is so strange. I guess I'll have to know that after this video, huh? I have to double check it. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry that you only get to hear my scratchy, icky voice. Don't get to see, oh, yay, my shiny face. Okay. So anyway, it says, now you should remember, this has been going on 3 years. So are you telling me Elizabeth Warren didn't know? It's been all over the papers. Want to know what karma looks like, guys? That's what karma looks like. This rich, powerful SOB has lost all his power. His money means nothing. He's in a suicide smock with no underwear on right now. Do you understand that? They've taken his underwear from him. That he has no say in his life. Everything he did to these men, he's praying for death. Oh, there goes the camera again. This man's praying for death right now. He honestly, this is karma. So just so you know. Ahead of Thursday night's 6th Democratic debate, the Massachusetts Senator's presidential campaign trumped a list of endorsements from figures associated with President Obama's campaign administration, including the alleged dangerous sexual predator Ed Buck. So I ask you this. If you're a Warren fan, or if you just want to know what the fuck, like, are you serious? You're a female at that. Like, usually females are more sensitive to, recognizing the whole how sensitive being identified with a pedophile, and to be running for president and to be taking money from a man who literally just had 2 men die in his home in the last 2 years from overdoses. Okay. Good luck with that. And like I said, I believe she's already peaked anyway, so I don't think she has a shot in hell, especially when she went after Bernie Sanders with some bogus crap today. So that's all the political stuff you will be getting out of me in this video. Have a great day, everybody. If you are interested in supporting my channel, YouTube's always going to be YouTube. Hate on the truth. So here's my Cash App. Please hit the like button and share the video. I really can't ask for any more. Share my video. Subscribe to me. I'd rather 1,000 people see my video than make $100 off of it. Okay, honestly. There goes my freaking camera again. I'm gonna have to find out what in God's name is going on with this camera. I wouldn't support it either. For Christ's sake, I was only in half the video. Have a good night.